Hi guys, and welcome to your Premier League review. Absolutely brilliant weekend of Premier League football, as you can see. I'm a Man United shirt, so great weekend as far as we're concerned. But we'll get on to that. We're going to start with the early kickoff. West Ham versus Arsenal. Said it would be a tricky game. Didn't expect Arsenal to lose because I said West Ham, they're very up and down. You don't know what performance you're going to get from them from time to time. This time they blew hot. Nasri, ex-Arsenal player, back from the wilderness after his ban. I think it was about a year, 9 months to a year out. He was one of the best players on the pitch. Obviously Declan Rice was the one who got the goal, and I think he went away with the Man of the Match award. But Nasri was brilliant. Between him, Felipe Anderson, everything was going through them. And Nasri was the one who actually got the assist for Declan Rice. Arsenal, it ain't looking great. And I said it a few weeks ago. Arsenal were catching you. And Arsenal fans, you're sick. Yeah, we're still 6 now. But the gap that there was 11 points before Solskjaer's first game. 11-point gap. That's down to nothing now. It's literally nothing. It's goal difference alone. And you got a tough game coming up against Chelsea. So by the time we meet again, we might even be ahead of you. But anyway, we'll get on to Manchester United. Arsenal, they're looking good. We've heard the news that they can only bring in loan signings in this January. I'm not sure what quality players you can get on loan. Denis Suarez, of course, is one player that's been linked with Arsenal. But the real big news, other than the loss and the lack of energy and fire and desire from the players, was the fact that Mesut Ozil wasn't even in the squad. Him and a few other players came up from injury, all back in full training. He tweeted a couple of days before saying that he's back in full training, ready to go this weekend, and he wasn't even in the squad. Obviously, there's issues between him and Emery because Emery says it's for tactical reasons. But even if it's for tactical reasons, let's just say we believe that, tactical reasons, and he got it tactically wrong. You have a player of Ozil's quality and his value. You have him on the bench at least to give you the option. He didn't even give himself the option. So clearly, I'm not going to blame Emery for not having Ozil because obviously clearly there's a clash between the players, other than for footballing reasons, I'm sure, because you don't even give yourself the option to bring him on. Nah, something's going on there. Maybe, as I said, there's no money to buy anyone. They can only get loans. Maybe he wants to sell Ozil in this January, make some money and strengthen the squad elsewhere. But they definitely need some reinforcements. They were poor. West Ham deserved that victory. That was the early kickoff on Saturday. We then had Brighton hosting Liverpool. Liverpool had a couple injury issues. Fabinho had to play at centre back next to Van Dijk, but they won 1-0 courtesy of a Mo Salah penalty. Another penalty won by the Egyptian, which caused a stir among some fans. And me, being a Man United fan, you'd think, oh yeah, I'm one of them who's like, he dived, etc., jumping on that bandwagon. The reality is, it was a penalty. Mo Salah twist and turn and twist past Pascal Gross, and he pulled him back and then he kicked him. It's a penalty. He may have gone down theatrically, he may have fallen in a way that he naturally wouldn't, whatever. It was a penalty. He was impeded, it's a penalty. Granted, his reputation goes before him and there has been some instances where he dived, but let's call a spade a spade. He won, the penalty was correctly given. Liverpool got the goal from the penalty, Salah. And at no point did Brighton even look like they were going to score. Very comfortable victory. And at that point, they went 7 points clear of Manchester City. Cardiff versus Huddersfield, that game ended 0-0. There was another penalty incident in that game actually, where the referee gave the penalty, then discussed with the linesman and they rescinded it, didn't give the penalty anymore. But we look at it again on the replays. For me, it was a clear penalty. Referee got it right the first time. He should have stuck with his decision. And Huddersfield could have won that game. As it was, they drew away at Cardiff, and in the subsequent days, Neil Wagner has been sacked as a Huddersfield manager. So a vacancy there is open. Huddersfield hope that the new manager can yield better returns than Wagner. Wagner got them up into the into the Premier League, kept them up for 1 year against all odds, but this year they've really struggled, only won 2 games all season. Fulham versus Burnley, or Burnley versus Fulham. Burnley won that 2-1, but remarkably, Burnley didn't have a shot on target. Both their goals came from own goals, which is, I think it's the first time in the Premier League history that a team has won without having a shot on target. So that's one for the record books, but that's an important victory for Burnley. Burnley's gone on somewhat of a resurgence, I might say. They've beaten Fulham, they won the FA Cup against Barnsley, they beat Huddersfield in the Premier League before that, and they beat West Ham. So they are on a 3-game winning streak, which takes them up to 15th and 3 points clear of relegation. So that was a massive victory for them in their battle against relegation, and I think they're coming into, you could say, form just at the right time. I'm not sure what Sean Dyche has done, what has been the spark to turn everything around, but they're picking up the results that they need at this stage of the season. Leicester versus Southampton. This one's a very weird one. Claude Puel's under pressure. He's been under pressure since he's really got the job. He hasn't done a bad job, but the fans that are not confident in him. The fans are not excited about the football that they're playing. Never has been. Same thing when he was at Southampton. Southampton went 1-0 up, then they went down to 10 men. And then they scored again straight away, 2-0 up. And it was like they were the side of one man down, and they were the one who got the goal. And I think when Southampton went down to 10, Leicester fans, I'm sure, would all have been, okay, we can go and win the game now. Wasn't to be. They did get a goal back in the second half through Ndidi, but they couldn't get another one, whether that's to get an equaliser or a winner subsequently. So that's another loss on the record books for Leicester. And it's a strange one with Leicester, because I would say odds would have been that maybe by the end of 2018, Claude Puel would have been out of a job, but he got results in games where they didn't expect. Chelsea, Man City, they won those 2 games, and it's games outside of that where they expect them to pick up a draw or win that they failed to do so. And this is why they're in the position they are in. This is why he's under the pressure that he's under. Even in the post-match press interview, he was talking about, it's not his problem, and the things, talking about different, answering some questions, and it's like, no, that is your problem. You need to deal with it. You can see the pressure seemed to be getting to him. So we'll see what happens with that. Palace versus Leicester. Sorry, Palace versus Watford. Palace actually took the lead in that game, but I think Watford, for me, were dominant throughout. They actually hit the post twice in one move before they went behind for an own goal, and it was Tom Cleverley who got the winner off the bench for Watford. That leaves Palace in 14th place and Watford now up to 7th. That 7th position keeps changing week on week. Watford, Leicester, I think even Wolves has been up there recently. So you could say it's all up for grabs. Everton as well, they're fighting for that 7th position as well. And the 7th position that could be a European position depending on who wins the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. What have we got? We got the late kickoff on that day was Chelsea against Newcastle. Pedro scored very early, brilliant ball over the top from David Luiz. Pedro took one touch, controlled it and lobbed it over the on-rushing keeper. 1-0 early doors. Looked like Chelsea could potentially run out comfortable winners. Wasn't to be. David Luiz, what he's shown on the ball, brilliant footballer. Defensively, not so. He lost his marker. Clark, I believe it was, Kieran Clark from a corner and bullet header past Kepa. I want to say his surname, Arrizabalaga. I can't remember now. Something like that. Let me see if I can say it. Kepa Arrizabalaga. Arrizabalaga. That's it. And that was 1-1. Newcastle would have been, I won't say confident, but had hope that they could get something out of the game at that stage. Wasn't to be. Hazard, brilliant turn, half turn in the centre of the pitch. Ran past a few players. laid it off to Willian on the left-hand channel. He cut inside the area and curled a beautiful finish past the keeper. 2-1 to Chelsea, keeps them in, or kept them in 4th place as it was. 6 points ahead of Arsenal after Arsenal's earlier loss that day. Moving on to Sunday, Everton versus Bournemouth. That was the first fixture on the Super Sunday. I expected more. I predicted a 3-2 Everton win, but I expected more from Bournemouth and even from Everton to an extent. This is a game that has got thrown up so many goals in the past, so many, and this game wasn't that exciting. It didn't, didn't really light the fire as it has in the past. Half time was 0-0. You're thinking I was just going to get a ball draw. As it was, Everton ran out 2-0 winners. In the end, it was Kurt Zouma and Dominic Calvert-Lewin off the bench to secure that victory. Bournemouth, they're struggling a bit. Wilson has been out injured for a few games. And they just haven't. They started the season on fire, and they just haven't been able to regain that kind of form as of yet. I think the last win was in December 22nd. Since then, they've lost 5-0 to Spurs, 4-1 to Manchester United, drew 3-3 with Bournemouth. With Watford, and lost in the FA Cup to Brighton. So they need to regain some form very quickly, because what they don't want is to get dragged into any kind of relegation battle. I don't think they will, but you don't want to end up like that. You want to be safe and comfortable and be focusing on further aspirations than a relegation battle. As it is, they sit in 12th, 8 points above the relegation zone. So for now, they're comfortable, but they just need to return to winning ways soon, and maybe try and get into the race to the 7th and 8th positions in the Premier League come the end. Then of course we had the big game, the massive game of the weekend, Tottenham versus Manchester United, dubbed the Audition Derby. Both managers, Ole Solskjaer and Pochettino, hotly tipped to be rivaling for that Manchester United permanent manager position come the end of the year. The two favourites for the job. Solskjaer go into the game on the back of 5 wins in all competitions, 4 in the Premier League. First Manchester United manager to win their first 5 games. And it was a very good game. It was a brilliant game. I was there at Wembley, and we got all the fan cams as you've seen, that you should have seen by now. I predicted that Spurs, being the better side than us at the moment, I predicted they would win. 2-1 I predicted. But I wasn't expecting David De Gea to pull off another one of his masterclasses. He hasn't shown this form this season at all. We know the issues that the whole squad, you could say, has had with around the whole Jose Mourinho time this season anyway. And he hasn't really shown that form, but this was a throwback. It reminded me so much of the away game at the Emirates last year. We won 3-1 and he pulled off 14 saves in that game. The double save from Sanchez and Lacazette comes to mind straight away when you think about that, and he pulled off some very, very good saves in this game as well. A lot of talk about the shots were straight at him, etc. But you have to credit his positioning. He gets into a position where the striker, whoever the attacker is, has a limited amount of options about where he can put the ball. So if you're coming at angle the near post, he covers the near post as much as he can, as well as making the area in the far post as small as possible. So they have to get it perfect, exact, if they're going to get it in. You compare that to Hugo Lloris, who's not on the same level as him as a goalkeeper. Granted, he was running back at a bit more pace for the Rashford goal, and the position he put himself in, he was just outside of the near post, which left more of a gap for Rashford to aim for in the far corner. So yeah, Dele Alli's shot, Harry Kane's shot, it looks like straight at him, but David De Gea puts himself in a position where if it ain't going to be straight at him, it's either going to go wide or it has to be perfect into that corner. He makes the striker do everything in their power to score. He doesn't make it easy for them. So you have to credit David De Gea for that. As much as you could say that Spurs finishing could have been better. But if Spurs had got an equaliser, then maybe Man United would have gone after the to get a second goal. But the reality is, Rashford got that goal. Brilliant pass from Paul Pogba from the middle of the pitch, right into the path of Marcus Rashford. And when he ran through, I didn't think he had it. I didn't think he had that in him, because I've seen him miss so many one-on-ones. It wasn't a clear one-on-one, but I've seen him miss so many of those even easier chances. But clearly that Dubai woman training, working with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the clinical babyface assassin as we call him, he's learning. And you know, the fans after the game, some of them saying that he can be better than Harry Kane. You know, we have to steady on, wait and see, but he's got all the attributes to lead the line for Manchester United. It's all about consistency now. And level on points with Arsenal, 6 points behind Chelsea. Arsenal and Chelsea play each other next week, so somebody's going to be dropping points. As a Man United fan, I actually hope Arsenal can do Chelsea. And if we can beat Brighton, then that would be a 3-point gap to top 4. Spurs are only 7 points ahead of Manchester United, and with their injury issues, a few transfers, as in Dembele leaving and Son going to the Asian Cup, there's a chance that you can get 4th. So Chelsea dropping points and Spurs dropping points, as well as obviously Manchester United continuing this run, 6 wins in a row, is what I'm going to be looking for. And the final game of the game week was Manchester City at home to Wolves. Wolves, you know, they've troubled a lot of the big sides, including Man City this season, drawing 1-1 at the Molineux. Was actually Willy Bolly who handballed the ball to score to make it 1-1 in that game. Like chalk and cheese in this game, he actually got sent off, and the moment he did, it was already 1-0, and through Gabriel Jesus, the moment he got sent off, the game was really over as a contest. I think Wolves were really just aiming on keeping the score as low as possible, remaining, you know, competitive, but not going to force the issue, because we know how Man City can rip them apart. Final score was actually 3-0. Means they closed the gap back to Liverpool to 4 points, and the title race rumbles on. But we've got a title race, a 2-horse title race, and we have got a 4-horse title race for top 4: Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal and Manchester United. At this stage, obviously Chelsea and Spurs are in the positions, so you would say they are the favourites, they are in the driving seat. But I am confident actually that if Chelsea can drop points against Arsenal, it's going to be a big one. If they drop points against Arsenal, then we can make a top 4 position our own. Let me know all your thoughts on the weekend's games, the state of the race, of the title race, and the top 4 race, and of course the relegation battle. Fulham making a new signing, Ryan Babel, Huddersfield sacking their manager, and all the teams that have won or lost and pulled away will be dragged back in to that relegation fight. Make sure you check out all our other videos. The podcast will be back next week. There's none this week, unfortunately, and I'll see you lot soon.